Hail Chupacabra, we are your nerd theorists and welcome to a quick and easy painting tutorial for your Kings of War ogre army. Now, I normally like to put a lot of time and effort into my painting. It's my favourite part of the hobby. I paint models that I have no intention of using in the game, I just like painting them. But I'm painting these ones in a quick and easy, get them on the tabletop as quick as you can style-y, bit slapdash for two reasons. One, I've just had double knee surgery, so I'm not very mobile. I'm on a lot of pain medication, which means that my eyesight isn't particularly good and my hands are a bit shaky. So I can't paint to the standard that I would normally like to paint to. Secondly, I've agreed to host a game of Kings of War to teach Tom, one of the other theorists, how to play, and he's coming up soon, so I need to get this entire army painted sharpish. So this is a tabletop ready tutorial. So if you're new to the game, or if you've just started collecting ogres and you just want some tips on painting them, or you just want a tabletop ready army and you're not really interested in painting, you just want to get them out, this is for you. If you're a seasoned painter, move along, because this is just going to piss you right off. Anyway, let's crack on. So this is the model that we're going to be painting today. It is a ogre warrior with a one-handed sword and a shield, and it's part of the new two-player box set, The Sands of Amarg, which I reviewed a while back. And as you can see, I've already base coated it. I've used Chaos Black Citadel spray for this one. Now, in true gas fashion, I've cocked up right from the beginning and I forgot to press record on the first video. So this is the second coat of skin colour. I've gone for MSP Bones Master Paint Series, and this is Dragon Red, which I'm using for the base coat for the skin. It is quite watered down, this one, but it has got a good pigment, but because I've got a black base on it, it did need two coats to go on. So this is the second coat. As I said, forgot to press record. I do apologise, very sorry, move along. As you can see, we've got a nice good coverage over that with the Dragon Red, and I'm now going to dry brush it with same make, MSP Bones, Cinnamon Red. Now I'm doing this, normally dry brushing obviously comes at the end. I'm doing this because, like I say, slapdash, I'm going to make a mess, I'm going to get it all over the other bit, so I'm going to do the skin first, dry brush it, and then do the armour, dry brush it, and then move on to the detail. Trying to get this done as quick as possible with as least steps as possible, because I'm tired and I want to sit down. Before I move on to the armour, because the vast majority of this figure is covered in armour and it's all going to be the same colour, I'm just going to do the inlaid section of the shield first, because it'll be much easier to do the top bit and then not go over it, because like I say, my hands are a bit shaky. So I'm just going to do this in lead belcher, I think I used, which is a silver. Yes, Citadel lead belcher, which is a strange name. But that's for that. I will be using it on the sword as well, but I'll come to that later. This is just the inlaid part of the shield, so I can crack on with the armour. And now for the armour. Now, if you're not familiar with the lore of Kings of War, the ogres are a neutral army. They're basically hired thugs, and no one really knows where they spend their money. They work for gold, they get gold, but they are nomads. They don't spend their money on cities or anything, they just travel about. So there's a theory that they spend all their money on weapons and armour, which I like. They're all competing to see who has the best sword and blah blah blah. So I thought I'd paint them in a snazzy armour. I didn't want to just go for the standard iron look. I painted a Space Marine a while back in a sort of a bronzy armour, and I thought I really liked that. So I went for Citadel Warp Lock Bronze as the base for this one, which is a really nice colour. As you can see, it goes on lovely on black. It's going to be a goldy finish. I didn't want it as dark as this, but that's the base colour. So a nice bronze, deep dark bronze base for the armour on these ones. Once that was dry, it was time to dry brush the armour. Like I said, it's a bit slapdash. I did start off with quite a small dry brush, decided, sod it, I'm doing nearly the entire model, I don't need to be careful. I went for the biggest, scruffiest dry brush I could find. and I dry brushed it in Retributor Army, another Citadel, which is a dark gold colour, and basically went mad. Give it a good old 70s disco feel. So now we've got the real gilded, styly armour, nice and flashy, and that's the last sort of heavily slapdash. The bulk of the model is already covered now, so now it's time to move on to the finer details. Now, to try and save as much time as possible and get these onto the table as quick as I can, I'm going to do a colour at a time. There's not many colours in this model at all. The reds for the skin, the bronzy golds for the armour, and then there's going to be a bit of black and a bit of brown, and that's about it. So we're starting with the black. This is going to be for the boots and the beard and the eyebrows. Now, normally when I'm painting black, I would start off with a grey so I can do a bit of shading, but we're trying to get these out as quick as possible. So the base will be black, and then I'll just dry brush just to bring the highlights out. So black for the boots, black for the beard, and black for his big old bushy eyebrows. Next up, we're going back to the lead belcher. This is for most of the sword. There is a little bit of brown that's going to be on the grip, but most of the sword is full metal. There's no real hilt or anything on it. And then the chains that go over the shoulders to hold the armour on, they're the only two bits of silver I'm going to use. I'm going to use it on the belt buckles as well, but because of the dry brushing and the belts and everything, there's no point doing that now, because I'm going to end up doing it again because I'm going to paint over it. Like I said, that little bit of the sword that's showing underneath the hand is just, it looks like a leather wrap. So I'm going to now use another Citadel Steel Legion Drab, which is a very pale brown, and that's going to be for the wrap on the sword and is undercrackers, which you can't really see, but I'm going to do them anyway. And then I'm going to move on to another MSP Bones, which is a really nice dark brown for leather, and this one is nut brown. Now, my nuts aren't brown, your nuts may be brown, each to his own. I mean, some of my best friends had brown nuts, don't get the wrong idea. I mean, some of them are just dirty. Anyway, I'm digressing. So these are both going to need 2 coats, but I'm not going to film that because it's very boring. But this is for all of the leather sections, all of the straps on the boots, his belt, the straps over the shoulder. Like I say, I'm not going into a lot of detail. The idea of this paint job is to give the impression of colour. So when you look at it, you can see a little flash of colour in these sections, and your brain just goes, oh, yeah, that's a belt, that's painted brown. If you look really closely, you could see it's a right mess, and I haven't gone into very good detail at all. But that's the whole point. You want this to be tabletop ready. You're going to be looking at it from a distance, and you just want to get them out there as quick as possible. To add a bit of colour, because like I say, this is all very brownish, I thought I'd do the thing, what's it called? The clothy bit between his legs. I thought I'd do that in red. So I went for corn red Citadel, not corn, because corn's yellow. Horn with a KH, horn red. Anyway, it's a red, it's a dark red, and that's for the sash. That's the word, sash. Last bit of dry brushing now, and for the sash I'm going to use Mephiston Red, a Citadel, just a very slightly lighter shade if you look at the two together, just to bring out the highlights. And for the beard, I haven't got it out, it's grey. I used a grey, I can't remember the name of it, but it's grey, dark grey. And that's just for the beard. Using a much smaller dry brush for this one because I don't want to get it everywhere, so just for the detailing, beard, sash, jobs are good, and that's the last of the dry brushing. And now the tricky bit, the really tiny little details. I'm going to change down to a much smaller brush now. I want a really fine tip brush, and I'm going to start off with the belt buckles. There's quite a few buckles on this. Each piece of armour, arms, legs, there's 2 on the legs and on the waist. Again, just the idea of colour, just so when you look at it from the distance, there's a belt buckle. So just very lightly around each buckle with lead belcher. Then I move on to a Corax White for the nails and the teeth and the eyes. Now this is, I hate eyes, everybody hates eyes, but I hate eyes the most. I hate eyes more than you. The nails were fine, the teeth were fine, the eyes, as you can see, took a couple of attempts. But like I say, I'm not trying to go and win the Golden Demon Award for Best Painted Ogre. So I had to go back and touch it up a few times with the Dragon Red, but eventually, after a couple of attempts, we got there. I'm not even going to put black bits in the iris or whatever, because I like the ogres with just the white eyes. They look cool, like Batman the Animated Series. So we're just sticking with the white. And that's all the main painting done, and as you can see, it is rough, but it doesn't matter, because now we're moving on to the washes, and as any painter will tell you, the washes save everything. Washes just make everything better. Not washing me, nothing makes it, no. Guys, head water. So it's wash time, or inks, or shades, whatever you want to call them. I am only using 3 different colours for the entire model. I'm using Reikland Flesh Shade, which is your brown. I'm using Nuln Oil, which is your black. And I'm using Carroburg Crimson, which is your red. Because Games Workshop don't like using normal people's words, they like using silly bloody words, so no one knows what colour it is. Brown, black, red. So all of the armour, all of the bronzy gold armour, all of the leather and the nails and the teeth are all going to be the brown. So the teeth, obviously too bright, is an ogre, he ain't going to brush his teeth. So that brown on all of that, and really slap it on. It's going to get into all the nooks and crannies, and it will cover a multitude of sins, which is brilliant when you've got shaky hands like me because of codeine. Then for all of the silver bits, the inlay of the shield and the sword, I'm not going to do all the buckles because the brown will cover them and it will make them look a bit rusty, and I'm not going to make the effort to do all the little black bits on those. But like I say, the ogres take a pride in all their armour and weapons, so I can't imagine they'd have a rusty sword. So I'm going to use the Nuln Oil on that just to give it a bit of shading. And then for all of the skin and inside the mouth will be the red. And as you can see at the end, the slapdash way I've done the eyes, that fills in all the crevices and makes them look a bit sharper, doesn't make them look as messy, and it just looks so much better. If you're starting out with painting, you don't want to spend a lot of money, and you can't be bothered to dry brush because some people bugger that up, I urge you to buy shades because it really does make the difference of how good the models look at the end. And there we have it, it's all done. I've based it with a brown textured earth shady paint from Citadel. I can't remember what it's called, I haven't got it out, but it's one of their textured basing materials. But again, do whatever you want. Just a mixture of sand and PVA glue works nicely if you want to just save a bit of money. And he's looking alright, and bearing in mind this is a close-up shot, and the whole point of this was to just make them tabletop ready, so when they're on the table and you're looking at them from a distance, this will suffice quite nicely. So thank you very much for watching. I just need to go and finish painting the entire army now before Tom comes up. If you've enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and don't forget, if you do want to see the full box set, The Kings of Aman, that review is in our list of videos. And yeah, have a pleasant afternoon. Ta-ta.